There you see it. See that big H right there? Yeah, that's a Four Corners High. Why do they call it a Four Corners High? Because it sets up shop and it parks itself right over the Four Corners. Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah. Now the circulation around the high is clockwise. It starts in Mexico in June, moves north in July. And the clockwise circulation is pulling in moisture from the Gulf of California and the Eastern Pacific. Who gets the worst out of all of this? Well, look at the graphic. Yeah, you're going to be seeing weather stories later on about heavy rain, flooding in Phoenix and other portions of the desert Southwest. Well, what in the world does that have to do with us? Well, I'm going to put it to you this way in plain English versus the other way, where a meteorologist would sit up there with a shirt and tie and tell you a bunch of stuff that don't really pertain to you. You ever had a tree fall on your house because of wind? You have. You haven't. You heard about them. Magic Valley is famous for it. Yeah, I'm talking about microbursts. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. From now through mid-September, that Four Corners High is going to be just kind of setting up shop and parking itself right where it's supposed to be. It'll shift a little bit to the east and it'll shift a little bit to the west. It'll move north, it'll move south. It doesn't really just stay in one place. But basically, it centers itself in this area. So pulling in that moisture, most of the rain is going to be centered right around the desert Southwest. But we still pick up some of that moisture. So here's a classic example of what's happening. Today, the forecast was mostly sunny. But as you work your way toward the afternoon, say like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and you see the clouds early in the morning, and all of a sudden they kind of get bigger, and they get bigger, and they get bigger, and they're coming from the southwest. That is the result of moisture being pulled in from the Gulf of California and the Eastern Pacific. Now in the forecast discussion for the National Weather Service, they like to say monsoonal moisture. That's what that is. What does it affect the Magic Valley? Because we normally get our thunderstorms during the summertime from that late in the afternoon going into the evening. Not the heavy thunderstorms that would produce maybe a tornado, but we get thunderstorms, and I don't fool around with thunderstorms. They produce thunder, lightning, and gusty winds, and it's the gusty winds that's always been my concern, because when you get a microburst is nothing more than a thunderstorm producing a lot of heavy rain. But here in the Magic Valley, in this high plain desert that we live in, that rain dries up before it hits the ground. But that heavy rain is pulling down cool, dry air at a rate that it can gust up to possibly as high as 60, 65 miles an hour. I've seen some get up to 70. And those winds at that speed will push a tree onto your house if it's next to it. That's what I'm trying to make the point as, is that as long as we're in this summertime pattern, which you've been just screaming for, and rightfully so, because we've had ourselves a very cool winter. Now we're getting into all this stuff, and you'll see the weather guy on TV, and he'll say it's going to be mostly sunny, enjoy the day, go out on the lake, go out on the Snake River, and then all of a sudden, about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you see a cloud, and about 5 or 6 o'clock, it gets bigger. Supper time, it starts raining. During the evening, you could see a report of a microburst take place, because microbursts come unannounced. They're not something that goes like, okay, I'm here, I'm coming right now, I'm going to blow your house down. No, they come unannounced. So this is one of those situations where I'm going to pass on the information to you in a manner that you can understand and make a decision. That's what Michael Rogers Weather is all about. I don't want to be a star. I was already a star. I want to win a championship. And I love the Magic Valley. This is where I live. I'm passionate about the weather and the people who live here in this community. So if I see something that could possibly do something, I'm going to tell you about it. And then I'm going to go back and drive a truck. Okay? All of the weather information that I had learned in school compares to nothing when you drive a tractor trailer. So when I tell you about something that could possibly happen, or if I explain it to you in a manner that, oh, I think he knows what he's talking about, I do know what I'm talking about, because number one, I've been in it. Number two, the information that I pass on to you is as of such that you can understand it and you can make a decision. That's what MichaelRogersWeather.com is all about. So now you are up to date and you are familiar with the term, the North American monsoon. Starts in June, goes all the way through mid-September. Just enough time that when it starts getting cold, I'll be ready to share something else about a weather pattern that happens during the fall and during the winter. So thank you so very, very much for stopping by my website and watching this. And if you have any questions, just go to the top of the page, click contact. Go, Michael, I haven't a clue what the heck you're talking about, and I'll explain it to you. Just that simple. All right? Enjoy the summer. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.